Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Enhance Your World show. I'm Chris Alba, one of your hosts. And today we are going to talk about manifesting, enhancing, creating the lifestyle reality that you truly desire. Um, this is a very hot topic. Everybody wants to talk about manifesting and raising your vibration and how to be your best self, because it's our vibration. It's who we are on a daily basis. Not only who we are, but also our external habits, the habits of thought, the habits of feeling, the habits of behaving, that manifest our realities. And the interesting thing about it is if we're always looking for what we need, what we're lacking, what we don't have, we're coming from a place of lack. And when we come from a place of abundance, we realize that we have everything in this moment to get started, to move forward into the new future, the new reality, the new timeline, the new dimension, however you choose to look at it and communicate it to yourself and those around you. Now, it does take intention. It does take intention and attention, because what we focus on is what we continuously bring in. So when we're always looking out in our outside reality to, I don't have what I need. I don't have the right connections. I don't have the right education. I don't have the right this, that, or the other. That is going to cause us to pause. Personally speaking, I've put myself in this situation multiple times. Now, as a reminder, this just came across my mind. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, would like to share anything, feel free to. I would love to be able to answer any questions directly, and not always just coming from my state of awareness. So feel free. The show is for you. It is, it is to help us as a collective humanity raise above uh, the past, our history, how we've turned into this uh, gluttonous consumerism that ultimately is destroying our human nature, human and our planet. And and that's one of the things I concern myself with about how I move through the day is, how is this affecting Mother Earth? How is this affecting future generations? How is this affecting those that I care about now and those that will never know my impact? The interesting thing is it is impossible for us um, to cause uh, we are the cause and we create effect. And whether that effect is positive or negative, that depends on the perspective. Last week I was invited to a Christmas party, and I was talking about, they asked me, what my plans were and all that, and I said, well, I typically, just have a meal with my family, and I don't really celebrate Christmas. And they were like, what? And I said, well, one, I'm not a practicing Christian, so that isn't a religious holiday for me, and I see it as a very commercialized thing now, where it's all about consumerism and greed and buying things and receiving things, and whether that is needed or not, that's up to the individual. you know um I do like the spirit behind it. I like that people are trying to be kind and giving and loving. I'm not trying to take away from any of that stuff, friendlier, that kind of thing. What I am trying to illuminate is the effect that we have on our collective humanity and on our planet. Most of us would, I would believe, say that we see the destruction within our humanity, us going to war, killing people, trying to control natural resources, those types of things is not always a positive thing. It's destroying the planet. And at the same time, we continually feed that system energy in the name of currency. It's a trading. A lot of us trade time for money. So we are trading our life force for an exchange of currency. We call that cash, right? And then that cash, depending on how we use it, if we invest it into something into the future, it will bring us into a return. And if we're just using it to get by, just stay comfortable, to buy the things that make us feel good temporarily, we're always feeding our addiction. And that's why I want to talk about manifestation, and why I want to talk about creating the lifestyle that you want. Because personally speaking, I am an addict. And now I've been able to overcome a lot of my own substances, of the substances that I enjoyed that kept me out of my higher vibrations. But I do still like the chase. I like the chase of building things. I like to see to create the impossible, to bring the unmanifested into form. And I've done that through various different businesses throughout my life. First starting in finance, and I did really well in that industry as a recruiter, because I believed in the opportunity that was presented. As a former high school dropout and someone that didn't have college at any college at the time, I knew that this opportunity that I had to be able to build a residual income and train a sales force was a great opportunity for me to get out of the situation that I was in, where I was working 60, 70, 80 hours a week in the sales industry. And even though I was making pretty good money at the time, for somebody that was 18, 19, 20 years old, I was very destructive. And that money never really served any greater purpose than to keep me comfortable or distracted. And so when I went into finance, it was to learn about the industry. It was learn how to use my money. I learned from great teachers like Robert Kiyosaki and things like that, how to invest your energy. That's the way I interpreted it. So to me, the energy was to invest my time and my resources into something beyond this moment. So later on, I had more. In his book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, he talks about this in his book. It's a beautiful book, and I highly recommend it for anyone that is looking to get a better understanding about the energy of currency, and how it works, and some different ways to generate different cash revenues, different cash income streams, because it's been my experience that when we put everything in one basket, it allows us to maintain that and focus on it a lot. But if something happens to come to that and destroy that one basket, we're starting all over again. And luckily for me, in my life, I've had a lot of those experiences, so I understand what rock bottom feels like on many different levels. And it's hard to pick yourself up from rock bottom, but it's the only place to build a solid foundation. And the beautiful thing about a solid foundation is it's always presented in the now. So you always have something right now that you can do. to enhance your situation in the future. Whether that's volunteering your time, whether that's providing or going to classes, or going to the library and getting books and enhancing your mindset and your skill sets, through practice and discipline. Those are some of the things that are needed to create the lifestyle that you want. And that's where it starts off with the intention, the idea. What is the intention? What is the idea? What is the concept? What is the construct? What are the things that you're going to need to do on a daily basis to bring about, to attract the law of attraction, right? To attract that lifestyle that you desire. And I'm not just talking externally, because it comes from inside. A lot of the times in my past, when I was being met with success, I was like, whew, I've arrived. I can take a break. I've been working so hard. I've been trying so hard. I've been putting so much energy into these things that now that it's kind of going on its own, kind of, now I can just sit back and manage it. And that was usually to my greatest disadvantage, because when things started not showing up the way that I wanted, I wouldn't handle that well. And that manifested in a lot of different ways, whether that was me being rigid, whether that was me being frustrated, whether that was me being depressed or being angry at somebody because they weren't following through with what they had claimed that they were going to do, or show up the way that they were expected to show up, or they changed their mind, had a change of heart, whatever the case might be. Life is always moving through the present moment. And the faster that we can accept those shifts in our reality, the faster that we can keep going, and the interesting thing about time is the longer that we live, the faster time moves. And I found myself in my early 20s being able to shift like this. I didn't hang on to things. I didn't hang on to people. I didn't hang on to those types of things. And a lot of shifts happened, and it would be like, okay, well, what's on to the next thing? Like, I was active enough. I was connected enough. I was going to networking meetings. I was doing all these different things. So when one opportunity kind of fizzled out because that wasn't the thing that I was supposed to be doing, or I wasn't getting the fulfillment, mentally, emotionally, physically, financially, however energetically we want to talk about that, then I would start looking for other opportunities. And when that became kind of habitual, I didn't see myself as a committed individual. And that commitment, or lack of commitment, took me out of my integrity of who I wanted to be, how I wanted to show up, how I wanted to help people, because I just wanted to be of service to people. It didn't really matter to me in those early years, the product, the service, as long as it was advantageous for those who were participating, including myself. I was all about it. I mean, I've sold hundreds of different products, from sexual enhancement drinks to computers, cars, houses, finances, because I was looking for my thing, that thing that I could get passionate about, the thing that I could go through adversity without losing momentum or anything of. And I did find that. I found that in helping people overcome their challenges in their lives, and that's why I became a coach and energy healer, because that's what that right there was for me. I didn't need products. I didn't need I didn't need tangible things a lot of times. A lot of times, a simple mind shift, perspective shift, was all I needed to do to move, and get my client to move. Um, Now, um, as I've evolved and grown, I've learned also that um, your emotions play a part in that, right? It's not just what you think, but the emotion is the vibration of it. So I was always good at turning a negative into a positive mentally and creating a new story, but I didn't always feel that internally. A lot of times I felt down, a lot of times I felt hurt, a lot of times I felt dismayed by, well, man, why is it so hard for myself as well as other people to continuously walk their path? And the mystic in me now says that was exactly what was supposed to happen, because there's no coincidences. Everything unfolds naturally the way it's supposed to. Only our ego, only our self identification, that's the thing that gets us stuck. That's our masculine energy. That's the container for the feminine energy to swirl. The riverbanks in the river, example is a good way to look at that. Without having strong banks, the water can go everywhere. Well, what happens? It pools. It doesn't flow. Now, the more contained that it is, the faster it flows. The faster it flows, the stronger it goes. And the stronger it goes, the more momentum and the more things that it takes with you. And that's what we're all looking for, right? To find that freedom, to find that peace, to find that flow that just feels just right. Well, I don't know if that's ever going to happen. I think we find times where we're like, and even convince ourselves. I know I've done this many, 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 many times in my life. Oh, this is exactly what I want to be going. This is perfect. Everything's coming to me easily, frequently, abundantly, and man, this is awesome. And then all of a sudden you get a new awareness of something else, and you're like, ooh, what about that? What about if we do this differently? Or what if I shift this? Maybe this will work better. Or, maybe I could reach more people by, um, maybe I could make more of a difference if I shifted the way that I am a little bit. Or maybe I don't show up so rigid, or maybe if I show up in this light, or maybe if I show up this way. That is consciousness, and there's unlimited possibilities. It's infinite. But our intention and our attention, because what they say is what we focus on is what we attract, right? The more consistent we are, the more life shows up the way we intended it to. And that's where habits come in. What is your daily diet? In personal development, personal leadership, we talked about this a lot. And it sometimes seems to get lost in the spiritual teachings. And, you're just supposed to vibe high all the time. Well, that comes from consistency. That comes from being aware and being consistent, that we can handle anything that comes our way. It might be challenging. It might knock us off our high horse for a year. And I'm sitting there in that situation, right? And questioning everything and everyone and everything I've ever done. And okay, well, I know what I'm capable of and what's possible, but what is it that I'm supposed to be doing here for the highest good? And to me, reality is always shifting. It's always growing now. The highest good isn't static. So the highest good's always showing up the best way you know how in that moment, and being authentic. That's been my key. Because when I show up as, the super charismatic, nothing ever gets me down kind of guy, and then, I share someone how I truly feel about something, there's a disconnect. And that disconnect um, creates confusion, creates unknown, creates a lot of different things. So, being integral is important. Being true to yourself, and to your mission, to your purpose, and showing up each day and saying, well, some days, you know what? It's better for me to sit here and meditate and get myself centered and process some of these past things, process some of these uh, things that I want in the future. And so I can create a plan, even though it needs to be a flexible plan, because we don't have ultimate control of our reality. We're co-creators. There's a lot of different variables that come into our lives that we can and may not have control over. The reason I left finance, I never thought I was going to leave finance when I left finance, but the reason I left finance was 9/11 happened. And then I got a better opportunity to go into the adult industry, and that um, in my 20s seemed a lot more fun. And it also made a lot more money, and it also allowed me to explore my own sensuality and sexuality in a way, so I could become self-aware of what's important to me. And so I took those opportunities. I shifted. I didn't have any control over what happened on 9/11, and it affected the industry. It affected all kinds of different things, right? We were all affected by it, for those that can remember that. um, you know, and just just like today, with all the wars going on and all the challenges, and what side is the right side, and regulations, and all these things that we humans create to create this false sense of control, when ultimately all we have control of is in this moment. And that's where intention, attention, and your habits make the greatest difference. you know um, when we go to the gym, we make that a habit. If we make that a habit, going to the gym, and we're consistent, now the weights never get any lighter, but they get easier. Why? Because of our consistency. Same thing with our mindset, same thing with our emotions, same thing with our behaviors, same thing with anything. And when we learn how to um, develop our skill sets to be proficient in the various different ways in life, then we can move with ease and grace, no matter what the circumstance. The the one thing that I've had the opportunity personally to experience, and I've talked about this, is being um, impoverished by circumstances, and not having a lot of income, and realizing that it's always just enough. Like, as long as you're out there putting effort out, you're always getting returns back, and it's always just enough. And some of the people that I've gotten to do business with, and walk with, and experience, I mean, they would lose millions of dollars in one deal, and as long as they had the reserves to continue on doing what they were doing, they would end up making it back. They would end up making more than what they had, and they learned a lesson from that experience, or working with that individual, or whatever it was that showed up in the contrast of life. That's what helps us grow, the contrast. If we were never challenged, if we never had a circumstance that was beyond our control, we wouldn't know how to compromise. We wouldn't understand what compassion is. We wouldn't understand, because everything's always worked out for us. And I'm sure you've met people in your life that's they've been very blessed, and they've had very little challenges in their life, and so you know they're upset by things like uh, I don't know, it doesn't really matter. But I remember in high school, somebody was upset because they weren't getting a brand new car for their uh, for their graduation present, and and it was like, wow, like imagine what that would be like. Imagine what it would be like to just be upset because you weren't given what you wanted in life, and not taking that personal responsibility and saying it's not anyone's responsibility but my own to create the life that I want to live and the legacy that I want to leave behind. You know, that is our karma, in my opinion. We talk about, especially nowadays, generational trauma. Well, think about the trauma that we're creating now. Think about the impact that we're having on the planet right now. And I know people are trying to find different methods and different ways to reduce that impact. But even, I was chatting with somebody the other day about electric cars and the amount of energy it takes to actually get those those batteries made. It still takes fossil fuel. It still takes fossil fuel to charge them back up. And then the question is okay, and how many years? I can't remember. I think it might be 10 years. Those batteries are no longer uh, uh, efficient anymore. They don't work anymore. So now what we're doing is we're creating these big batteries that are full of toxic waste and throwing them where? What are we doing with them? How are they being put back into the earth? And I don't know. I remember when I first went organic. This was before the big organic craze, and you had to go to specialty stores to be able to eat clean. And I remember when it first started popping up at the local Kroger or whatever. And I was talking to my ex-wife. She was my wife at the time, but like how important it was to vote with your dollar. And it's like, no, we gotta buy these things. We have to buy. I know it's more expensive. I know it's better for us and all those things, but it also, we're casting a vote with our dollar. It's important that we spend that money on that. So then the corporation knows to invest in this more, because it's better for the planet, right? And then I was reading articles over and over and over again about how we were decimating, rainforests and various different things because we had already destroyed so much of the commercial farming stuff that we've already done, that they needed fresh land to be able to grow organically. So what they do, they just took more natural resources instead of transitioning slowly. Consumer demand was so high that they had to do it instantaneously. They had to do it right away. So that was the best option at that time. Now, we didn't hear a lot about that. There wasn't a whole lot said about that stuff, but it really shifted my mind about the importance of grassroots efforts, the importance of thinking locally, thinking collectively, globally, as we are all connected. If I drank a soda today and I went to put it in the recycle, and 1% or 10% or whatever the number is actually gets recycled and the rest of it gets sold off to a third country world, guess what? That soda bottle that I bought now is affecting somebody else on the other planet, on the other side of the planet. What we're doing to, all these different natural resources to support our human lives, you know? And the reason I'm talking about this, you know, in the whole scheme of manifesting, is I want people to be aware of their effect, how they affect people. You know, in my previous relationship, um, she wasn't always healthy, and I loved her anyway. I want to be with her every day, and but I knew I couldn't fix her. I couldn't, even as a trained healer. I have these awarenesses, skill sets, all these different things that can help aid people. But ultimately, I can't do anything without someone else's permission. And so, you know, I kind of pulled back a little bit, and that gave her another insight, which, you know, I don't have the awareness um, of, you know, how that made her feel, because unfortunately we haven't gotten an opportunity to talk about it. But I know how it felt when she left. You know, I felt abandoned. And so she probably felt abandoned too, because I wasn't being there for her in the way that she was wanting me to. We weren't communicating it properly, so I couldn't show up the way that she was wanting me to. And the end result was that we had a separation. And that's cause and effect. Everything was in alignment. We agreed on everything, on the way we wanted to live, on how we wanted to build our business, how we wanted to show up for ourselves and each other, and we weren't always perfect at that. And that was our opportunity to grow. That was, you know, obstacles are only opportunities, right? So that was our opportunity to come together, to grow together, to get better unified. And that didn't work the way that we intended it to happen. And it's taken me a lot of time this year to really process the effects that had, not only on myself but her. It's been great healing, and it's allowed me to become more understanding, more empowered, you know, and more insightful, more conscientious, you know. But at the same time, the reality is now different. And, you know, I had the opportunity to go and sit with a channeler the other day. And, you know, I got a channeled message, and, you know, something that I was aware of, you know, prior to this situation happening. And you know, what I was told was, you know, you have to continue on this journey. You have to build it bigger, and, you know, you have to do this work. If you don't do this work, then that's never going to come back into manifestation. Your twin flame situation will not mature, because this is what you have to do. You know, she's not ready, you know, is what was said. And you know, and that was where some of our disconnect was, right? Was when I was standing in my masculine power, when I was doing the things that I thought I needed to do to bring us in the lifestyle that we needed. It wasn't always being seen. And when I got in my feminine energy, because of the negative effects causing upset and things like that, I started to question what I was doing. And so I started surrendering. more and more and more and more and more. And that created even more complications. So when I'm talking about manifestation, manifesting the life that you want, realize that you already have it. You are your life. Every moment of every day, you are manifesting the life that you have. If you don't want that life, that's a mindset thing. If you want more out of life, that's a mindset thing. That's an ego thing. And there's nothing right or wrong about it. It's a choice. And what we choose to do with our energy each and every day creates the results of our life. Good, bad, and different, those are just labels. Those are just judgments that we create to help give us directionality in our mind of how we can grow, of how we can do better, or how we can raise our vibration, be more loving, be more caring, be more understanding, be more assertive, be more in our power, whatever it is, right? Because those circumstances are all different for all of us, and that's what makes these podcasts and these things so challenging sometimes, because there's so much mind content, so much general information that we're trying to process consciously, and that it becomes mentally overwhelming. And then we create a story that feels good, that people can buy into. I mean, we all have friends that will say to us, oh, that person didn't deserve you, you need to move on, you got to let them go, you got to do this, and validate our point of view. And then we're like, oh yeah, that's the right point of view, because we're getting validated by those that love us, that care about us. But what if that doesn't show up? What if you're the type of person that's like, I want to fix this, I want this to get better, I need communication, I need compassion, I need understanding, I need willingness, I need unity, I need unconditional love, whatever it is, and we're not getting it from an outside source. Who is actually being responsible for that? Right? Because we have this ability to give to ourselves first. One of the things that we always hear is, you give and 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 you give, and you're not getting back, so quit giving. I made that mistake. The reality of it was I was giving because I was receiving. I was getting what I wanted by being able to give. What I wasn't getting in return was the validation that I was expecting or hoping for, the participation that I was hoping for, so we could continue on in a more efficient way as a partnership. And that's been one of my karmic lessons, because it's been very interesting in my life. When I've only had myself to count on, I was able to get those things generated, those things rocking and rolling. And then I would attract people into my life that were interested in what I was doing and wanted to be a part of it. So I'd be like, okay, well, let's do this. Here's the rules. Here's what everybody's going to do. And then when somebody drops the ball, it all implodes. Because there wasn't understanding, there wasn't compassion, there wasn't grace. To the degree that they needed, and I know for me that I've had a lot of challenges with that. Hearing other people's perspectives, letting my own go, or allowing their perspective to have the same weight or as my own, or vice versa. Using someone else's perspective as truth while invalidating my own. And what does this have to do with manifesting your life? Well, only you know whether you're living in integrity in your own life. And if you are, if you're not, what needs to shift? What needs to be different? You know, I've talked about, being an addict. A lot of my addictions fell away really naturally. Cocaine addiction, spending $500 a day on cocaine, destroyed my whole face internally. I've had to have reconstructive surgery because of the amount of coke and what I did to it. That fell away pretty easy for me. Why? Because my house was robbed, and I realized, wait a minute, I'm not living in my integrity. So, gotta let that lifestyle go. I had to let that stuff, and I sat on my couch for 6 months. It was easy. What did I do with that time? I filled my mind with good stuff. I meditated. I read every day. I journaled. I wrote. I went out into nature. I did all these things that were good for me and my well-being, got me back into my center, got me back into my truth. And from there, I was able to go into the, after I got sober, I went to go work for a modeling agency, John Casablanca, or modeling school or whatever. And within a month, I'm making them $30-some thousand a month recruiting, and I was not making hardly any money, and but I was good at it, and I was getting all the accolades, and everybody loved me, and it was a lot of fun. And when I found out that the people that I was recruiting wasn't getting paid gigs like I was told, they had an 89% placement, I left and started my own agency because I was like, this is crap. They're spending all this money to learn this stuff that they can learn, along the way. And, the person that's supposed to be getting them work isn't concerned with that. That's crap. I'm going to go do it myself. And I did. I learned photography. Well, first I started just booking work, right? And I had a photographer that I worked with. And then through that process, I learned and developed my own skill set of photography. It was something I always loved. And, being there, immersed in it, I was given that opportunity. I was granted that opportunity. And then all of a sudden, when my photography was being chosen over the photographers, working with me was being chosen over my photographer that I was paying. That photographer didn't want to work for the agency anymore. So then all of a sudden, now I'm the photographer, I'm the agent, I'm running the business, I'm doing recruiting, I'm doing all the different things, and I was able to maintain that for a short period of time, but I wasn't very proficient at it. It was a lot of work. It was a lot of effort. It took a lot of energy. And so then I needed to duplicate myself. And through that, I started looking for, okay, who can I work with? Who can I bring in to help me with these things? Agents and scouts and recruiters and, all that kind of stuff. I was always very leery of other photographers because of my past, and professionalism was a big deal for me. So, I didn't work with a whole lot of other photographers, but I did work with other photographers. That led us up into where I had the bar. And then when I had the bar with my partner, again, so overwhelming that I wasn't able to keep my focus on the talent agency. And the person that was going to take it all over for me, she got disenchanted with all the amount of work and effort and all the things going on, and I wasn't there to be there for her like I told her I would be. And so that fizzled out. Natural consequence. And that's why it's important to talk about this through manifestation, because what we give our energy to will also bring it back, like it, law of attraction. It's really that simple. If we're not putting energy towards something, don't expect returns from it. And I think that was one of my big lessons with working a job, that I learned from my dad. My dad had a pretty upper management job, and he busted his butt for that company. But when they didn't need him anymore, it was, see ya. We're going to find someone else to replace you, because it's more cost savings, and good luck to you. And I never wanted to not be in control of my own life. I'd never wanted to be not in control of my own destiny. So that was why I sought after being a independent contractor entrepreneur in most of my jobs, because at least I had a false sense of control. And still to this day, the side jobs that I have while I'm supporting my family as I'm growing this business again up, it's very flexible. It's very, I still have very much control over things. Now, if I wasn't showing up, if I wasn't doing my job, if I wasn't all those things, they would replace me. But as long as I'm putting the energy in, the effort in, then there's reciprocation. And same thing goes for any business. Same thing goes for our health. Same thing goes for our relationships. If we're not putting our energy in it, if we're not investing ourselves, if we're not committing ourselves, if we're not showing up each and every moment of the day, we have no one to blame but ourselves. It is our responsibility. Peace starts with us when we stop fighting each other over ideas and concepts and beliefs. There's enough resources to go around for everybody, to keep everybody, Gandhi said, there's enough, nature provides enough for everybody to get what they need, but not for their greed. We all can't have 100-acre estates. There's too many people on the planet and have too much of a global impact. And we would destroy the planet. Not that the planet wouldn't come back. It's just going to be really hard for us humans and other animals to live on it for a while. And that's really where I want to really emphasize the importance of holistic health. Is if the planet can't support us, then what are we going to do? What are our children going to do? What are our children's children going to do? 7 generations out, right? So how do we live in the highest integrity? Why we're manifesting the life that we desire? Everybody has their own way. And I'm not here to tell you what's right and what's wrong. I can tell you what's right for me. That's it. That's the only truth I have. And I can tell you over the last few years, I've learned to live without a lot. Because I got food in my refrigerator, I got a car, I got clothes on my back, I got enough. I got a home, and I would love to make repairs, and I would love to, do a lot more and be able to provide a lot more for other people, because that just creates more opportunity for people's healing and create opportunities for other people to live the life that they want. And that's why I choose to invest the way I do. So I choose to invest my energy in the people and not things, because that's the only way that I foresee that the future will be better than it is today, is by investing our energy in people and not things, you know. So we're about to wrap up the show today. Thank you for all the love, all the likes, all the hearts, all the participation today. I very much appreciate it. Um, this is this has been a really cool experience for me to be able to do, and I'm so grateful for this opportunity um, to be able to take an hour of the day and be able to share some thoughts, some ideas. Hopefully, some of it, something resonates with you, something makes sense, something um, makes you, uh, inspires you to shift your point of view, the perspective, how you choose to walk this everyday life. I hope um, we all learn how to live in harmony with one another and be accepting of one another and being understanding of one another and being there for one another, because that's what unity is truly about, you know. Is knowing that no matter what happens, we have enough. So I'm going to sign out. Much love, gratitude for all that you are, all that you choose to be and do. Our planet, our reality, our galaxy, our, wouldn't be the same without you. You're that important. So thank you for that. Thank you for the gift of you. I appreciate you. I love you. Continue on living the best way you know how, until you gain new awareness of how to do it a little differently. So may all your dreams come true. Thank you. Check us out. Again, you can watch the replays on our social media. And we do this live every week on Tuesdays. This is our new time at 12 o'clock. So I hope this time works for everybody. I hope you enjoy the show and want to keep coming back, checking it out, because if we're not providing useful content and information, then there's no reason to continue to do this. So, but I love you. Thank you so much. And we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.